No external speaker. No private dining room. No AV setup. The Lunch and Learn is simpler than a speaker program, but it operates under the same compliance rules. Here's the format. I bring lunch to a physician's office or clinic. The whole clinical team might be there: the physician, nurse practitioners, the infusion nurses, the practice manager with clinical oversight. I present. I use approved promotional materials. We discuss Immunonco's data, the patient population, the access support. The meal is modest, on-site, ordered within the approved budget. The PHRMA code applies here exactly as it does at a speaker program. The meal is incidental to the educational purpose. I'm not buying lunch to get in the door. The educational content is the reason for the visit. What's different from a speaker program? There's no certified physician speaker. I present. The content is limited to what's in my approved promotional materials. I can answer questions within the label. There's no honorarium, no FMV calculation, no speaker agreement. What's the same? Every attendee who receives a meal is a transfer of value. That meal gets reported under Sunshine Act. Sign-in sheet. Documentation in agentforce. The compliance trap that catches reps. Bringing lunch just to see a physician who won't give you a scheduled appointment, and presenting no educational content turns a meal into an entertainment expense. That's a PHRMA code violation. The food isn't the visit. The education is. Lunch and Learn vs. Speaker Program. A Lunch and Learn is a rep-led in-office educational visit with a provided meal. Simpler than a speaker program, no external speaker, no off-site venue, no honorarium, but governed by the same PHRMA code principles around educational purpose and meal modesty. Rep as presenter. In a Lunch and Learn, the rep presents using approved promotional materials. They are the educational content provider, not just a host. This means the content is bounded by the approved promotional materials and the label. In-office meal modesty. The meal provided at a Lunch and Learn must meet the same modest standard as speaker program meals. It cannot be extravagant, it must be provided on-site, at the practice. And it is a reportable transfer of value for any physician who receives it. Educational purpose test. The PHRMA code requires that meals provided to HCPs be provided in connection with a genuine educational activity, not as a standalone benefit to access the physician. A rep who brings lunch with no educational content has provided an impermissible gift, not a compliant meal. Sunshine Act reporting for Lunch and Learns. Meals provided to individual physicians at Lunch and Learns are reportable transfers of value regardless of the meal amount. Physician name, meal value, date, and nature of the interaction are reported to CMS and published in open payments. The prescription is written. Immunonco is approved for this patient. Now someone has to actually give it. The infusion nurse. She's the one drawing up the dose, hanging the bag, monitoring the patient, and recognizing the first signs of an immune-related adverse event. If she doesn't know what grade 2 pneumonitis looks like, if she doesn't know to slow the infusion and call the physician immediately, a patient outcome changes. The nurseinservice is one of the most practically valuable field events I run. Here's what the content covers: drug administration, dose, infusion rate, pre-medication requirements, how Immunonco is reconstituted, diluted, handled, infusion time, filter requirements. AE recognition, the immune-related adverse events a PD-1 inhibitor can cause: colitis, pneumonitis, hepatitis, endocrinopathies, what to watch for during and after infusion, when to stop the infusion, when to call the physician, what to document, patient support, the hub enrollment process, how to help a patient whose prior auth was denied, where to call when specialty pharmacy creates a delay, what the copay assistance program covers. I'm not the clinical authority in that infusion room, but I am a resource, and the nurses know it. A physician writes the prescription. The nurse makes sure the patient actually gets treated safely. My job is to make sure she has everything she needs to do that well. Infusion nurse education scope. Nurse-in-service content covers drug handling and administration, reconstitution, dilution, infusion rate, filter requirements, AE recognition and management, early symptom identification, infusion modification protocols, physician escalation criteria, and patient support services, hub enrollment, prior auth support, copay assistance, AE recognition by nursing staff. Immune-related adverse events from PD-1 inhibitors can present during or hours after infusion. Infusion nurses are often the first clinical staff to observe early signs, rash, colitis symptoms, dyspnea, making their AE education a genuine patient safety issue, not just a commercial activity. Patient support hub education. Nurses and practice staff often handle hub enrollment paperwork, specialty pharmacy coordination, and prior auth follow-up. Educating them on the hub process, contact numbers, and escalation pathways directly improves patient access and medication start rates. Compliance in nurseinservices. Nurseinservices use approved educational materials, PRC reviewed, and follow the same PHRMA code standards for meal modesty if food is provided. Meals for nurses who are not physicians are not Sunshine Act reportable. The Act covers only physicians and teaching hospitals, but internal policy may require documentation. Strategic value of nursing relationships. In oncology practices, infusion nurses have significant informal influence on the quality of drug administration, on patient experience, and on the practice's willingness to engage with a drug manufacturer's support resources. Reps who invest in nurse education build trust with the entire care team, not just the prescriber. The last physician just left. It's 9 p.m., I'm still at the restaurant. Step 1, reconcile the sign-in sheet. 14 invited, 11 showed, 3 no-shows. Who signed in? Who didn't? A signed name on that sheet is a documented transfer of value. An unsigned name, even if the physician ate dinner, means I need to note it and confirm with compliance. Step 2, expense documentation. The receipt, itemized, every item, total meal cost, divided by actual attendees. Per person cost calculated. If it exceeds the modest meal threshold, I flag it immediately. I don't submit it hoping compliance won't notice. Step 3, complete the agentforce event record. Actual attendee list versus invited. Speaker performance notes. Questions that were asked, especially any off-label inquiries, any adverse events disclosed, any deviations from the approved format. Step 4, Sunshine Act Q. Every physician who attended receives a meal reportable under open payments. The company's system picks up the event data automatically from agentforce, but I verify the attendee data is accurate. An error here, wrong physician name, wrong meal amount, becomes a federal reporting error. Step 5, sign-in sheet retention. The physical sign-in sheets go to my manager. They are retained per the company's document retention policy, often 7 years, sometimes longer. These documents are discoverable in litigation. The event ended at 8 p.m. The compliance obligation runs for years after that. Sign-in sheet as legal document. Speaker program sign-in sheets are compliance records documenting which physicians received a transfer of value meal. They are retained under the company's document retention policy and are discoverable in civil litigation, DOJ investigations, and OIG audits. Accurate completion and retention is a legal obligation. Per person meal calculation. The modesty of the meal is assessed per person, total event cost divided by actual attendees, not invited attendees. If a large number of invitees don't show, the per-person cost can inadvertently exceed modesty thresholds, requiring immediate disclosure to compliance. Agentforce as the compliance system of record. The CRM event record is the primary data source for Sunshine Act reporting, internal compliance audits, and OIG investigations. Every field is material, actual VS, invited attendees, questions raised, deviations noted. Incomplete records are a compliance finding. Open payments data pipeline. Companies submit Sunshine Act reports to CMS annually by March 31. The submission draws on CRM data captured at the event level, making accurate real-time documentation in agentforce directly upstream of the federal disclosure obligation. Document retention requirements. Speaker program records, sign-in sheets, expense reports, event records, speaker agreements are typically retained for 7+ years under pharmaceutical company policies that reflect federal contractor requirements and potential litigation exposure. Destruction before the retention period is a separate compliance violation.